100 characters, every corner of Disney. These are the 100 characters I want to see the most in Disney Dreamlight Valley. Hey dreamers, and welcome back to Connor's Dreamlight Magic. Today is a very special video because we did it. We hit 1,000 subscribers. Seriously, thank you all so much for the incredible support over the last year. Whether you've been here since my very first Dreamlight Valley videos, or you've only just joined recently, every single view, comment, like, and subscription has helped this channel grow far beyond anything I expected. So, I wanted to celebrate with something a little different, and a little crazy. Today, I'm counting down 100 characters I'd love to see added to Disney Dreamlight Valley. Now, before we begin, this isn't a ranking from least wanted to most wanted. Apart from the very last entry, which is my number 1 Dream Edition, every character here is completely in a random order. Some are Disney classics, some are Pixar, some come from Disney Channel, Disney Parks, Marvel, Disney Games, and even a couple of franchises that are definitely long shots, but would be incredible to see one day. Some entries are individual characters, while others are grouped together because they belong together. Whether they'd work as villagers, companions, mounts, quest NPCs, or even future DLC headliners, we'll chat about why I think they'd fit into Dreamlight Valley as we go. This list is also a celebration of just how huge Disney really is. Dreamlight Valley has already done an amazing job representing so many beloved franchises, but there are still hundreds of incredible characters waiting for their chance to join the valley. So, grab a drink, get comfortable, and while you're watching, I'd love to know one thing. Who is your absolute most wanted Disney character for Disney Dreamlight Valley? Let's celebrate 1,000 subscribers by counting down my top 100 Dreamlight Valley characters I want. Let's get into it, shall we?
Ohana means family. Family means nobody
gets left behind
or forgotten.
Let's start with one that honestly feels like one of the biggest missing characters in the entire game. Lilo. Ever since Stitch joined Dreamlight Valley, players have been asking the exact same question. Where's Lilo? Stitch is one of Disney's most recognisable characters, but his story has always been about family, friendship, and finding his place alongside Lilo. Seeing him running around the valley without her has always felt a little strange to me. Lilo would bring so much personality to the game. Her friendship quests could revolve around photography, hula dancing, Elvis music, or even helping Stitch learn to behave around the valley. She'd also open the door for even more Lilo and Stitch content down the line, like Nani, Pleakley, Jumba, and Reuben. Out of every Disney duo missing from the game, this is probably the one that feels the most incomplete.
The shade! The rum!
Yes, the rum is gone.
Why is the rum gone?
1, because it is a vile drink that turns even the most respectable men into complete scoundrels. 2,
Next up is somebody who would instantly become one of the funniest villagers in the entire game. Captain Jack Sparrow. Just imagine him stumbling around Dazzle Beach, insisting he's looking for the Black Pearl, while accidentally causing chaos everywhere he goes. His dialogue alone would probably be some of the best in Dreamlight Valley history. Pirates of the Caribbean is one of Disney's biggest franchises, yet it still isn't referenced in Dreamlight Valley outside of furniture items. Jack could introduce pirate-themed furniture, shipwreck decorations, treasure hunting mechanics, and quests involving buried treasure across every biome. I'd absolutely love to see Tortuga become a realm one day, but even if it never happened, Jack Sparrow deserves to sail into the valley eventually. It still surprises me that Cinderella arrived before Prince Charming. Their entire story revolves around finding one another, yet Cinderella is currently wandering the valley on her own. It just feels like one half of the story is missing. Prince Charming may not be the most complex Disney prince, but Dreamlight Valley has shown it can expand characters far beyond their original films. He could bring royal clothing, ballroom furniture, and some really wholesome friendship quests with Cinderella. I'd especially love to see them dancing together around the valley during special events or festivals. Cinderella deserves her happily ever after.
We're three gay caballeros, they say we are birds of a feather.
Donald desperately needs more friends from his own corner of Disney history, and Jose and Panchito would be absolute perfect additions. These three bouncing off each other would make for some of the funniest conversations in the game, especially if Gameloft leaned into the musical side of the three caballeros. I'd love to see them perform together around the valley, maybe even with daily performances similar to how characters already have unique schedules. They'd also introduce fantastic Latin American inspired furniture, clothing, and decorations that Dreamlight Valley could really benefit from. They're classic Disney characters that deserve far more recognition than they currently get.
Honey!
What?
Where's my super suit?
What?
Where is my super suit?
If there's one Pixar franchise that feels long overdue, it's The Incredibles. Rather than adding just one character, I'd absolutely love to see the entire Parr family arrive together. Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl, Violet, Dash, and Jack all have completely different personalities, making them one of Pixar's strongest family dynamics. They could introduce superhero-themed quests, futuristic Metroville furniture, costumes, and even some really creative interactions with other heroes already in the valley. Imagine Mr. Incredible helping Maui move giant obstacles, or Edna Mode eventually arriving to design costumes for everyone. The possibilities are endless, and I genuinely think The Incredibles deserve a full adventure pack.
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
If Marvel ever makes its way into Dreamlight Valley properly, my first pick has to be the Hulk. He's one of the most iconic superheroes ever created, and I think he'd offer something completely unique compared to every other villager in the game. His friendship quests could revolve around learning to control his anger, helping clear giant obstacles, or even accidentally destroying decorations before apologising. Bruce Banner and Hulk could even swap between forms, depending on the time of day or certain quests. Plus, imagine Hulk casually walking through Peaceful Meadow, or everyone else pretends that's completely normal. It would be hilarious.
As I expected, Mary Poppins practically perfect in every way.
Mary Poppins is one of Disney's most timeless characters, and honestly, I'm surprised she hasn't appeared in one of Disney's life simulation games already. She fits Dreamlight Valley's magical atmosphere perfectly. Her quests can involve magical organisation, tidying up the valley with the snap of her fingers, helping villagers through life lessons, and maybe even introducing umbrella-themed furniture or floating animations. I'd also love to see her arrive by literally floating down from the sky holding her umbrella. It would be one of the most memorable introductions Dreamlight Valley has ever done.
Oh my God, honey, I shrunk the kids.
Nobody move! Now, don't worry.
This is definitely one of my more unusual picks, but I really think Wayne Selinsky could introduce some of the most unique mechanics Dreamlight Valley has ever seen. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is such an underrated Disney classic, and its world would translate surprisingly well into the game. Imagine shrinking down for certain quests, exploring giant gardens from an insect's perspective, or collecting microscopic resources hidden around the valley. Wayne's inventions could also create some hilarious questlines when they inevitably go wrong. Plus, the Honey I Shrunk the Kids furniture and giant guarding aesthetic would look incredible for decorators.
Soon the Black Cauldron will be mine. Its evil power will course through my veins.
The Black Cauldron has never really received the love it deserves, and if there's one character who could finally change that, it's the Horned King. He's easily one of Disney's darkest and most intimidating villains, making him perfect for the Forgotten Lands. His arrival could introduce gothic castles, eerie forests, skeletal decorations, magical relics, and some genuinely creepy quests that could explore the darker side of Disney storytelling. Dreamlight Valley has shown it isn't afraid of villains like Maleficent, Hades, or Ursula, so I think the Horned King would fit right in. He'd also give the Black Cauldron the representation fans have been asking for.
Give me strength!
Up next, we have one of the most requested characters in the entire Dreamlight Valley community, Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't actually played Kingdom Hearts myself, but even I can appreciate just how much this character means to Disney fans. I mean, I have used him in Smash Bros. Ultimate. Does that count? Every time someone asks for crossover characters, Sora is always near the very top of the list. His Keyblade, friendships with Disney characters, and ability to travel between worlds already fits Dreamlight Valley's premise incredibly well. Whether he'd arrive as part of a special collaboration, a DLC, or even just a one-off update, I think he'd instantly become one of the biggest additions the game has ever seen. Even without my own experience with this series, I completely understand why so many people desperately want him in the Valley.
Before Mickey Mouse, Walt and his studio created Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
With Oswald already joining us through the Eternity Isle DLC, it feels like there's one incredibly important character still missing from his story: Hortensia. She's Oswald's longtime partner and one of Disney's oldest characters, yet she still hasn't had the chance to shine in Dreamlight Valley. I'd love to see the two reunited, especially after Oswald spent so long forgotten by Disney before finally making his comeback. Hortensia could bring more classic black and white cartoon charm to the Valley. Imagine adorable friendship quests where she helps Oswald adjust to life in the Valley, or even quests inspired by the old Disney shorts and Epic Mickey. She could also introduce more vintage furniture, cartoon-inspired decorations, and maybe even another ink-themed questline. Oswald deserves his happy ending, and Hortensia deserves to finally step into the spotlight alongside him.
What if you didn't understand what he saw?
Then you better figure it out, because it was coming for you.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno, except we absolutely should. Bruno is one of the most beloved characters from Encanto, and after the success of the film, it feels inevitable that more Madrigal family members will eventually arrive. Out of all of them, Bruno is easily my top pick. His ability to see into the future could make for some really creative friendship quests. Imagine helping him interpret visions, preparing the Valley for future events, or even seeing little green glowing visions appear around different biomes. He'd also bring more Colombian-inspired decorations, furniture, and clothing, while expanding Mirabelle's storyline in a really meaningful way. Plus, hearing We Don't Talk About Bruno referenced throughout his dialogue would be hilarious.
You were coming right home with me this minute! Hey, who's the beetle? Hang on, put me down!
Jiminy Cricket feels like one of those classic Disney characters that should already be in Dreamlight Valley. He's not just important to Pinocchio, he's one of Disney's most iconic mascots, appearing in countless Disney intros and representing the idea of following your conscience. I think Jiminy could offer something really unique. Rather than simply being another villager, he could almost act as a guide during quests, giving hints or advice when players get stuck. His friendship rewards could include classic wooden furniture, circus decorations, and nostalgic Disney items inspired by Pinocchio. Whether Pinocchio arrives with him or later on, Jiminy Cricket absolutely deserves a place in the valley.
Mommy! I've got a dirty thumb.
If Dreamlight Valley wants a comedic villain, look no further than Prince John. He's one of Disney's funniest antagonists, constantly throwing tantrums, sucking his thumb, and arguing with Sir Hiss. Just imagining him wandering around the valley, complaining about taxes, already makes me laugh. Robin Hood is one of Disney's most requested classic films, and Prince John would bring so much personality. He could introduce medieval furniture, castle decorations, treasure-themed quests, and plenty of interactions with Scrooge McDuck over money. I'd also love to see him constantly trying and failing to outsmart Robin Hood in the valley. His dialogue would easily become some of the funniest in the entire game.
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal healthcare companion.
If you've watched my recent videos, you'll know just how convinced I was that Big Hero 6 was coming sooner rather than later. Baymax and Hero are easily among my most wanted additions, especially after the recent premium shop teasers involving Mochi and the Big Hero 6 Capybara companion. Baymax would instantly become one of the most lovable villagers in the game. Imagine him walking around asking if everyone is satisfied with their care, or giving players hugs after completing quests. Hero, meanwhile, could introduce robotics, new crafting mechanics, and futuristic San Francisco-inspired furniture. Big Hero 6 is one of Disney's biggest modern franchises, and I genuinely think these two are destined to arrive soon.
Not bad for a 197-year-old blind lady.
While Tiana is already in the game, it feels like the Princess and the Frog still has so much more to offer, and Mama Odie is at the top of my wish list. She's one of Disney's wisest and funniest characters, and I think she could introduce entirely new gameplay mechanics rather than just another friendship questline. Imagine Mama Odie teaching players magical recipes, potion crafting, or enchantments for furniture and tools. She could even expand Dreamlight Magic itself, or introduce daily blessings that give temporary buffs around the valley. She's such a memorable character, and with her colourful personality and iconic songs, she'd fit Dreamlight Valley perfectly.
Leader of China's finest troops. No, the greatest troops of all time.
Mulan has been in Dreamlight Valley for quite a while now, but something still feels missing. Li Shang. He's such an important part of Mulan's story that it almost feels strange not seeing them together. I've spoken about him recently because I genuinely think he'd bring something completely new to the game. I'd love to see Li Shang introduce light combat mechanics or training sessions with villagers. Nothing that turns Dreamlight Valley into an action game, but perhaps sparring, obstacle clearing, or fitness challenges that reward exclusive items. On top of that, he'd bring more Chinese-inspired furniture, armor sets, and military camp decorations. Most importantly though, Mulan finally gets her man.
Meg, when I'm with you, I don't feel so alone.
Speaking of missing partners, where is Meg? With Hercules arriving earlier this year, we knew he was coming with Phil, but that doesn't mean Megara should be forgotten. She's one of Disney's most popular princess-adjacent characters, and one of the funniest female leads Disney has ever written. Meg would have brilliant dialogue, especially with Hades if he continues appearing in future content. Her sarcastic personality would make her stand out from many of the sweeter princesses already in the valley. She'd also introduced more Greek-inspired clothing, romantic Hercules furniture, and some fantastic friendship quests exploring her journey from working for Hades to finding her own freedom. This might be one of my most unique picks on the entire list. The Headless Horseman would make for an incredible Halloween update, bringing a completely different atmosphere to Dreamlight Valley. Imagine hearing distant hoofbeats at night before seeing him gallop across the Forgotten Lands with his flaming pumpkin held high. His horse would also make an amazing mount if Gameloft ever wanted to do something really special. Alongside him could come spooky forests, haunted roads, gothic decorations, and autumn-themed furniture inspired by Sleepy Hollow. He's one of Disney's oldest villains, and would add an entirely different style of horror to the valley without feeling too scary for the game's cozy atmosphere.
Lizard, 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 lizard.
At number 20, we have one of Disney and Pixar's newest characters, Mabel from Hoppers. Even though the film is still relatively new, I absolutely loved it, and I think should be a fantastic addition to Dreamlight Valley. Gameloft has already added Mabel in her robotic beaver form to Speedstorm, so we know they're already thinking about the franchise. Mabel could introduce nature-themed quests, science experiments, and some really fun interactions thanks to her ability to experience life from an animal's perspective. Should also bring unique woodland furniture, university-inspired decorations, and potentially even new animal mechanics. Sometimes it's exciting to see Dreamlight Valley celebrate newer Disney and Pixar films alongside the classics, and I think Mabel would be a brilliant representative of the new generation. Now, here's a character that would completely change the atmosphere of Dreamlight Valley. Chernabog. He's arguably Disney's most intimidating villain visually, towering over Bald Mountain in Fantasia. Just imagine looking up towards the Forgotten Lands at night and seeing his enormous wings stretching across the sky. It would honestly be one of the coolest sights in the entire game. Of course, I don't think he'd wander around like a normal villager. Instead, I'd love to see him used more like Cheshire Cat, or even part of a larger storyline. His quests could focus on restoring balance between light and darkness, while introducing gothic furniture, cursed relics, gargoyle statues, and dramatic orchestral-inspired decorations. Fantasia is one of Disney's masterpieces, and Chernabog deserves to finally represent it properly.
The meeting has officially come to order. Let us all say the pledge. Fish are friends, not food.
Fish are friends, not food. Bruce would honestly be one of the funniest Pixar characters to add. The idea of a giant great white shark running an aquarium or trying his absolute hardest not to eat the valley's fish would make for some incredible quests. He has such a lovable personality despite looking terrifying, which is exactly why fans remember him. I'd also love Bruce to introduce an aquarium feature where players can donate fish they've caught to create beautiful displays. I know we have one with Olaf for the different biomes, but imagine being able to create custom ones. As well, imagine festive fish getting their own special tank, or even the DLC catchers swimming around for everyone to admire. Add in underwater themed furniture, coral decorations, and ocean-inspired clothing, and Bruce could bring far more than people initially expect. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, you'll know how much I want Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Donald and Scrooge already live in the valley, but without the nephews, something just feels missing. Whether Gameloft bases them on their classic cartoons, or the incredible DuckTales reboot, I'd honestly be happy with either. I'd love to see them added as grouped villagers, always running around together, causing chaos. Their friendship quests could revolve around Junior Woodchuck adventures, treasure hunts with Scrooge, helping Donald stay calm, although that might be impossible. They'd also open the door for more Duckburg characters like Della Duck, Launchpad, Webby, and Gizmo Duck. Out of all the Mickey and Friends characters missing, these three have to be among the most requested.
My, what a brilliant nose you have. The better to light my way. To the head of the team, Zero!
Jack and Sally are already in the valley, but there's one member of the family still missing. Zero. While the Zero-inspired fox companion is cute, it's just not the same as having the real ghost dog floating alongside us. Zero would make for an absolutely perfect companion. Imagine him flying behind you with his glowing pumpkin nose, lighting the way during nighttime exploration. He could even have little interactions with Jack and Sally around the valley, making the world feel even more alive. Sometimes companions don't need complicated mechanics, they just need to be adorable, and Zero absolutely ticks that box.
Now we get down to business.
You gonna race?
What do you think?
Oh boy, won't Herbie love that. Le Mans, Monte Carlo.
This is definitely one of my more unexpected choices, but I absolutely love Herbie. The Love Bug is one of Disney's classic live-action films, and Herbie is honestly one of the most charming vehicles ever put on screen. Rather than becoming a full villager, Herbie could work as a special companion, or even a mount that follows you around the valley. Imagine him beeping happily, driving around different biomes, or parking outside your house waiting for you. He could also introduce retro garage furniture, vintage road signs, and classic car decorations. It's a niche pick, but I think he'd bring something completely unique to Dreamlight Valley. Disney games deserve representation too, and if we're talking Disney gaming villains, it has to be the Shadow Blot. Epic Mickey remains one of Disney's most creative video games, and bringing its main antagonist into Dreamlight Valley would be such a fun crossover. The Shadow Blot could introduce ink-based corruption mechanics, mysterious quests, and darker magical furniture inspired by Wasteland. It would also create more opportunities for Oswald, who already has strong ties to Epic Mickey. Whether it's through dream styles, special quests, or even an entire storyline celebrating Disney games, I'd love to see Epic Mickey represented beyond just Oswald himself.
Toby, you watch the camp.
Don't call me Toby anymore. Call me Bodacious T.
No one will ever call you that.
Gravity Falls is easily one of the greatest Disney television shows ever made, and Dipper and Mabel would fit Dreamlight Valley surprisingly well. Their curiosity, humour, and mystery-solving personalities would make every friendship quest feel like its own little adventure. Imagine investigating strange happenings around the valley, uncovering hidden secrets, or even searching for cryptids among different biomes. Mabel could bring colourful sweaters and whimsical decorations, while Dipper could introduce the journals, mystery items, and conspiracy-inspired furniture. If Disney Channel ever gets a proper expansion in Dreamlight Valley, these two absolutely deserve to lead it.
An old man taking his house to Paradise Falls.
Few Pixar films are as emotional as Up, and Carl and Russell would bring such a wholesome dynamic to the valley. Carl's grumpy but kind personality, paired with Russell's endless enthusiasm, would create some fantastic interactions with existing villagers. Their friendship quests could involve wilderness exploration, helping animals, earning badges, or even rebuilding parts of Paradise Falls as decorative items. I'd also love to see Kevin and Doug appear later on, completing the family. Plus, imagine Carl slowly warming up to characters like Stitch or Olaf. It would make for some genuinely heartwarming moments.
Sets on her 16th birthday. She shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die.
Aurora finally joins Dreamlight Valley through Storybook Vale, but just like several other Disney princesses, she eventually deserves to have her prince beside her. Prince Philip is one of Disney's most heroic princes, facing Maleficent's dragon head-on to save Aurora. His quests could focus on bravery, swordsmanship, and protecting the valley, while introducing medieval castles, knight armor, and fantasy-inspired pieces. I'd especially love to see special interactions between Philip and Maleficent, considering their history. He's often overlooked compared to other Disney princes, but Dreamlight Valley could really expand his character.
Wheezy! Think, Woody. Think. Oh! Oh!
Coming in at number 30, we have one of my favourite supporting Toy Story characters, Wheezy. He may not have loads of screen time, but he's such a memorable toy thanks to his squeaky voice and iconic performance of You've Got a Friend in Me at the end of Toy Story 2. Wheezy would bring plenty of charm to the valley. His quests could revolve around repairing old toys, collecting music-themed items, or helping Woody and Buzz organise the toy community. He'd also introduce vintage toy decorations, bedroom furniture, and maybe even a few more references to Al's Toy Barn. Toy Story has so many incredible characters, but Wheezy has always held a special place in my heart, and I'd absolutely love to see him waddling around the valley.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dumbo!
Honestly, where is Dumbo? He's one of Disney's oldest, most recognisable and most beloved characters, yet he's completely absent from Dreamlight Valley. Every time I think about classic Disney films that deserve representation, Dumbo is always one of the very first that comes to mind. Even if his film isn't as action-packed or expansive as some modern movies, the character himself is simply too iconic to ignore. I don't necessarily think Dumbo needs an entire realm, but I do think he'd make a fantastic villager. His friendship quest could focus on building confidence, embracing what makes us different, and helping other villagers overcome their fears. He could also introduce circus-inspired furniture, feather decorations, carnival lights, and vintage Disney items. And, let's be honest, watching Dumbo fly over the peaceful meadow with those giant ears would be absolutely adorable.
Hi-ho, it's off to work we go.
Snow White finally joined Dreamlight Valley through Wishblossom Ranch, but something still feels missing. You simply can't think of Snow White without thinking of the Seven Dwarfs. They're some of Disney's most famous supporting characters, and I'd actually love to see them introduced as grouped villagers rather than 7 separate houses cluttering up the valley. Imagine all 7 sharing one cozy woodland cottage, leaving together every morning to head towards a mine, where they work throughout the day. Their friendship quest could involve mining, crafting gems, upgrading tools, and even singing while they work. Each dwarf has such a distinct personality that conversations between them would be entertaining on their own. It would also make the valley feel far more alive, especially seeing all 7 wandering around together.
How many men does it take to deliver a message?
1. When people talk about Disney villains, Shan Yu often gets overlooked, but I honestly think he's one of the most intimidating villains Disney has ever created. Unlike many magical villains, Shan Yu is simply a brilliant military leader who poses a genuine threat through strategy and strength, making him feel completely different from characters like Ursula or Hades. I'd love to see Shan Yu headline a future DLC or adventure pack centered around Mulan. He could introduce military camps, ancient Chinese architecture, battlefield-inspired furniture, and some fantastic story quests. His rivalry with Li Shang and Mulan would create some brilliant interactions, and his calm, yet terrifying personality would add another type of villain to Dreamlight Valley's growing roster. Chip and Dale honestly feel inevitable at this point. They're two of Disney's biggest classic characters, appearing alongside Mickey and friends for decades, and yet they're still nowhere to be found. Whether Gameloft shows their classic appearances, or gives us stream stars based on Rescue Rangers, I'd be thrilled for either. The two would work perfectly as group villagers, constantly finishing each other's sentences and causing playful mischief across the valley. Their friendship quests could involve collecting acorns, helping woodland critters, or even detective missions inspired by Rescue Rangers. They'd also bring plenty of woodland furniture, treehouse decorations, and classic Disney nostalgia. Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Goofy already have each other. It really is time for Chip and Dale to join them.
Long tonight, and I'm afraid nobody's been very nice to me.
Welcome to New York.
Thank you.
Enchanted is one of Disney's most loved live-action films, and I'm honestly surprised it hasn't received more attention in Dreamlight Valley. We already have several Enchanted-inspired furniture items, so adding Giselle feels like the natural next step. She's one of Disney's most unique princesses, blending fairy tale charm with modern day humour. Giselle could introduce magical music quests, woodland animal interactions, and beautiful fairy tale furniture inspired by Andalasia. Her cheerful personality would fit perfectly alongside characters like Rapunzel and Cinderella, while also bringing representation for one of Disney's most successful live action franchises. I'd also love to eventually see Prince Edward, Robert, or even Narissa join her in future updates.
Lightning McQueen is 100 feet from his piston cup!
I know Cars is a controversial pick. Every time someone suggests it, there's always somebody saying the characters are too big or wouldn't fit the valley. Personally, I completely disagree. If Dreamlight Valley can make toys, lions, aliens, and demigods work, then it can absolutely make talking cars work too. Lightning McQueen is one of Pixar's biggest icons, and Gameloft clearly agrees, considering Cars is already featured heavily in both Speedstorm and Disney Magic Kingdoms. He could introduce Radiator Springs inspired decorations, Route 66 furniture, racing themed quests, and maybe even a driving minigame one day. Cars also represents a completely different section of the Disney fanbase that Dreamlight Valley hasn't really tapped into yet.
Will this thing leak?
Navigator, I do not leak. You leak, remember?
Here's one that I don't think many people expect to hear. Max from Flight of the Navigator. This classic Disney live-action film is incredibly underrated, but its futuristic spaceship still looks amazing even today. It would bring a totally fresh sci-fi aesthetic that Dreamlight Valley doesn't currently have outside of Star Wars. Rather than becoming a normal villager, I'd actually love Max to act as a stationary character, remaining in spaceship form while interacting with the player through his hilarious AI personality. His quests could revolve around advanced technology, space exploration, and repairing futuristic gadgets. We'd also get incredible sci-fi furniture, glowing consoles, and spaceship decorations unlike anything currently available in the game.
Oh my goodness! Clarabelle! Are you our fairy godmother?
Clarabelle is another classic Disney character who feels strangely absent. She's been part of Mickey and Friends for decades, and regularly appears alongside the main cast in cartoons, games, and the Disney parks. It almost feels like she's overdue at this point. She'd fit perfectly into Dreamlight Valley's cozy atmosphere too. Clarabelle could run a bakery, dairy shop, or flower stand, introducing countryside-themed furniture and plenty of wholesome quests. I'd also love to see Gameloft explore her relationship with Goofy, since different Disney media has paired the two together over the years. Mickey and Friends still has plenty of room to grow, and Clarabelle is one of the biggest names still missing. If you've watched the channel for a while, you'll already know that Amphibia is my favourite Disney television show. I absolutely adore Anne and Sprig, and honestly, I'd probably cry if they were ever officially announced for Dreamlight Valley. Their friendship is one of the strongest parts of the entire series, and they'd fit surprisingly well into the valley. Their quests can involve exploring nature, helping frogs around the valley, solving ancient mysteries, and introducing colourful amphibia-inspired furniture. I'd also love references to Wartwood, the Calamity Box, and even some of the show's emotional moments. Disney Channel deserves more representation in Dreamlight Valley, and I genuinely think Anne and Sprig would be the perfect place to start.
Cold, cruel, and bitterly jealous of Cinderella's charm and beauty, she was grimly determined to forward the interests of her own two orphans.
At number 40, we have one of Disney's greatest classic villains, Lady Tremaine. Cinderella is already in the valley, but her story doesn't feel complete without her wicked stepmother. Lady Tremaine isn't magical or physically powerful, but she's manipulative, calculating, and one of Disney's most memorable antagonists. She'd bring elegant Victorian furniture, grand manor decorations, and some wonderfully dramatic dialogue. I'd love to see her constantly trying to maintain appearances while subtly insulting everyone around her. We already have villains like Ursula, Mother Gothel, and Maleficent in the game, so adding Lady Tremaine would continue Dreamlight Valley's fantastic collection of iconic Disney villains.
Welcome, students, to Theater 101. Quiet, class, quiet! Luca, spit out that gum!
Pleakley is one of the funniest characters Disney has ever created, and I genuinely think he'd be an absolutely perfect fit for Dreamlight Valley. We already have Stitch in the Valley, but Lilo and Stitch still feels incomplete without the rest of Experiment 626's found family. Pleakley is constantly getting himself into ridiculous situations, loves learning about Earth, and has one of the funniest personalities in the entire franchise. His friendship quests could revolve around studying the valley's wildlife, researching villagers, and, of course, wearing some absolutely fabulous disguises. I also really hope Gameloft doesn't shy away from his iconic outfits, because that's such a huge part of what makes Pleakley, Pleakley. He'd bring so much comedy, and make every conversation entertaining.
Except for Elliot. He's real. Lampy, you've seen him, haven't you?
Pete's Dragon is one of those Disney films that doesn't get talked about enough anymore, but Elliot would be an incredible addition to Dreamlight Valley. Whether you prefer the original animated version or the live-action remake, having a giant friendly dragon soaring around the valley would be something really special. Imagine spotting Elliot flying across the sky before landing beside his home, or watching him happily interact with villagers. He'd also introduce some fantastic fantasy-themed furniture, decorations, and magical quest lines. Dreamlight Valley already has dragons through Companions and Storybook Vale, so adding one of Disney's most iconic dragons as a full villager feels like the natural next step.
You're not coming back, are you?
The prophecy. The boy is my undoing, but he's also my grandson.
I know this is probably one of my biggest long shots, but if Dreamlight Valley ever wanted to acknowledge Disney television, Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time would be my number 1 pick. Robert Carlyle absolutely stole every scene he was in, and Rumpel quickly became one of Disney's greatest live-action villains. His magic would fit perfectly into Dreamlight Valley storytelling. Imagine making magical deals, collecting enchanted objects, or completing quests where every favour comes with a price. Plus, his sarcastic personality, bouncing off Merlin, Ursula, Hades, and Jafar would honestly be comedy gold. I know it's unlikely, but if Disney TV ever gets represented, Rumpelstiltskin deserves to lead the charge.
Is that right? Is it? And is it just sort of like really feeling something? And
Elio may not have become Pixar's biggest box office success, but one thing almost everyone agreed on was just how adorable Glorden was. He completely stole the show for me, and I think he'd make such a fantastic addition to Dreamlight Valley. His friendship with Elio is the heart of the movie, so whether Glorden became a full villager or even a companion, I'd happily take either option. His alien design would bring something visually unique to the valley, and his quest could explore friendship, confidence, and discovering Earth. Sometimes, the newest Disney and Pixar characters need a little extra love, and Glorden definitely deserves it.
Silenzio Bruno!
Silenzio Bruno!
Silenzio Bruno!
Silenzio Bruno!
Luca is one of Pixar's most underrated films, and I honestly think Luca and Alberto would fit Dreamlight Valley perfectly. Their friendship is one of Pixar's best, and their personalities would make so much fun to have them wandering around Dazzle Beach. The best part would be seeing them swap between their human forms and sea monster forms, depending on quests or locations. Imagine helping them collect Vespa parts, compete in friendly races, cook Italian recipes, or explore underwater-themed adventures. The film has such a cozy atmosphere already that it almost feels like it was made for Dreamlight Valley.
Nice to see you.
With Zootopia 2 bringing the franchise back into the spotlight, I think now is honestly the perfect time for Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde to finally arrive. These two have become some of Disney's most beloved modern characters, and they're among the biggest requests from the community. Their friendship and banter would be brilliant to see every single day. Judy could hand out detective-style quests, while Nick naturally finds himself involved in slightly questionable business opportunities that somehow always work out. Plus, Zootopia's furniture, city decorations, police station items, and modern aesthetic would add something completely different to the valley that we don't really see.
Our Miguelito carrying on the family tradition, and on Dia de los Muertos.
Coco is one of Pixar's greatest films, and I'm honestly surprised it isn't represented in Dreamlight Valley more. Miguel would be the obvious first character, bringing music, family traditions, and some absolutely stunning furniture inspired by the Land of the Dead. Imagine celebrating Dia de los Muertos with glowing marigold bridges, colourful decorations, guitars, candles, and beautiful music filling your valley. Dante would also make one of the easiest companion choices Gameloft has ever had. With Coco 2 officially on the way, it feels like the perfect opportunity to finally introduce this incredible franchise. Descendants has become one of Disney's biggest modern franchises, and honestly, I think an adventure pack would suit it perfectly. Mao, Evie, Carlos, Jay, and even Red have built an enormous fan base over the years, and there's so much potential for quests, cosmetics, and magical mechanics. The Isle of the Lost aesthetic would bring a darker, more magical style to Dreamlight Valley, while Auradon-inspired furniture would offer a brighter contrast. Their fashion alone could fill an entire premium shop rotation. Whether Gameloft ever adds them as villagers, or saves them for something bigger, Descendants absolutely deserve some kind of representation.
A tip of the hat from Dr. Facilier. How y'all doing?
Dr. Facilier has to be one of the biggest missing Disney villains in Dreamlight Valley. We already have Tiana, but New Orleans doesn't feel complete without the Shadow Man himself. His quest could revolve around mysterious magic, shadow creatures, and making dangerous deals with spirits. The Friends on the Other Side aesthetic would also introduce some of the coolest furniture in the game, from voodoo shops to glowing masks and enchanted decorations. He's stylish, charismatic, intimidating, and unforgettable. Exactly the kind of villain Dreamlight Valley thrives on adding. I know this one is incredibly unlikely, but this is my top 100 list, so I had to include the 15th Doctor. Since Doctor Who entered and left its Disney Plus era, it technically became part of Disney's streaming catalogue, and Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor would honestly fit Dreamlight Valley's adventurous spirit surprisingly well. Imagine helping the Doctor investigate strange dreamlight anomalies, fixing time fractures across the valley, or even decorating with TARDIS-inspired furniture. Ruby Sunday and Belinda Chandra could also make fantastic companions for story content. I don't expect this to ever happen, but sometimes Dreamlight Valley is all about dreaming big, and this is definitely one of my biggest dream additions.
And I saw something shining in the water.
Coming in at number 51, we have Kida and Milo from Atlantis: The Lost Empire. This is one of those movies that has slowly become a cult classic over the years, and every single time Dreamlight Valley releases a survey, Atlantis is always one of the most requested franchises, I can assume. It already feels like Gameloft are aware of that too, because Eternity Isle is packed with Atlantis references. The architecture, the crystals, the ancient technology. It almost feels like they were testing the waters before eventually bringing in the real thing. Milo would probably become one of my favourite villagers instantly because of how passionate and nerdy he is, while Kida would bring a completely different energy with her magical powers and ancient knowledge. Their furniture would be absolutely stunning too, full of glowing crystals, Atlantean technology, and ancient ruins. I really think Atlantis isn't a question of if anymore, but when.
Oh, I'm touching myself tonight.
Now, this one is definitely a wild card, but if Dreamlight Valley ever decided to dip its toes into Marvel characters, Deadpool would probably be my number one pick. The fourth wall humour alone would fit surprisingly well with Dreamlight Valley. Imagine him constantly talking directly to the player, making fun of quest objectives, or even commenting on update delays. You just know he'd have some hilarious dialogue. Of course, he'd have to be toned down compared to the movies, but the comics have shown plenty of family-friendly versions of Deadpool over the years. He could constantly annoy Merlin, flirt with literally everyone, and somehow always end up causing complete chaos around the valley. Plus, the cosmetics that could come alongside him would be absolutely incredible.
All new souls are given unique and individual personalities.
Soul is one of Pixar's most underrated masterpieces in my opinion, and I would absolutely love to see Joe Gardner and 22 arrive together. The Great Before would make such a unique realm, but even if they were simply dropped into the valley, I'd be completely happy. Joe's passion for music could introduce some lovely quests centered around jazz, while 22 would probably have some of the funniest dialogue in the entire game. There's also so much potential for rewards. Imagine jazz-inspired furniture, New York apartments, soul-inspired decorations, piano items, and beautiful celestial cosmetics based on the great before. Soul has such an emotional story about appreciating life, and honestly, Dreamlight Valley feels like the perfect place to celebrate that message.
Regardless, Sora, you will need the power of waking. Perhaps it could be something that is as simple as that.
I've spoken about Yen Sid before, because I genuinely think he'd make such an incredible addition. Merlin has basically had no magical competition since launch, and introducing Disney's most famous wizard would instantly change that. Instead of replacing Merlin, Yen Sid could become his friendly rival, with both characters constantly debating different magical techniques. Gameplay-wise, he could introduce entirely new magical mechanics. Maybe we'd unlock stronger enchantments, magical crafting recipes, potion brewing, or even small spell-based puzzles around the valley. If Gameloft ever wanted to expand Dreamlight Magic, Yen Sid feels like the perfect character to lead that update. Plus, any excuse to bring more Fantasia into the game is a win for me. If you asked me who I think would have the funniest quests in Dreamlight Valley, my answer would immediately be Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. Every single friendship quest could revolve around another completely ridiculous in nature invention that accidentally causes problems around the valley. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Imagine helping him build Dreamlight innators, weather innators, furniture innators, or companion innators, only for every invention to go hilariously wrong. His dialogue would carry the entire update, and hearing Dan Povenmire voice him would be absolutely incredible. Phineas and Ferb has so much charm, but Doofenshmirtz is easily the character I'd want first because he fits Dreamlight Valley's quirky humour perfectly.
After that, Mickey and Duffy were inseparable. Together they traveled all over the world and
A lot of people outside of the Disney Parks community might not know who Duffy is, but over in places like Tokyo Disney Resort, he's one of the biggest Disney characters there is. Duffy and his friends have become hugely popular, with merchandise, shows, attractions, and seasonal celebrations built around them. Honestly, he'd fit Dreamlight Valley's cozy aesthetic perfectly. He doesn't even need some huge dramatic storyline. Sometimes, it's just nice having adorable villagers wandering around your valley, and Duffy absolutely fits that role. His friendship rewards could include park-inspired items, plushies, picnic items, and all sorts of cozy decorations. He'd probably become one of the cutest characters in the entire game.
I still believe we can be Kumandra again.
Raya feels less like a question of if she'll join, and more like when. She's currently the final official Disney princess missing from Dreamlight Valley, and I really don't think that'll stay that way for much longer. In fact, I've actually predicted she might be dropped directly into the valley rather than getting her own realm, simply because I don't think Gameloft would dedicate an entire realm to just one major character. That said, I'd absolutely love to see Kumandra represented somehow. Raya's friendship quest could focus on rebuilding trust between villagers, while her rewards could include beautiful Southeast Asian inspired furniture, warrior outfits, weapons as decorative items, and loads of stunning nature pieces. Then, maybe down the line, we could even get Sisu as part of another update or DLC.
You're fanning the flames, Jesse. It takes brains to put out that fire. Yo, my biscuits are burning!
Toy Story is one of the oldest realms in Dreamlight Valley now, and I'm honestly surprised we only have Woody and Buzz. Jessie feels like one of the biggest missing characters in the game, and if she ever joins, Bullseye absolutely has to come with her. Whether he's a companion or a mount, I honestly don't mind. I just need Bullseye in the valley. Their quests would naturally reconnect the Toy Story gang while introducing plenty of cowboy-themed furniture, carnival decorations, and western cosmetics. It feels like the perfect opportunity for Gameloft to revisit the realm and finally give us these two iconic characters. Now, here's one that almost nobody expects to hear. Rallan from Spectrobes. Spectrobes was actually Disney's first major original video game franchise that wasn't based on a film or television series, and honestly, I'd love to see Dreamlight Valley acknowledge Disney's gaming history alongside its movies. Rallan could introduce fossil excavation mechanics, creature collecting, and plenty of futuristic furniture inspired by the series. It would also shine a spotlight on a franchise that deserves far more recognition than it gets. I know this one's incredibly unlikely, but sometimes it's nice to dream a little, and Spectrobes would definitely be one of the biggest surprise additions Dreamlight Valley could ever make.
The Queen! Snow White! The Queen will kill her! We gotta save her!
Number 60 goes to Prince Florian. Snow White has now joined Dreamlight Valley, but just like several other Disney princesses, she's missing one very important person from her story. Give the poor woman her prince! We've already seen characters like Belle get Beast, Jasmine get Aladdin, and maybe, hopefully, more princesses getting their mans in the future? Prince Florian might not have the biggest role in the original film, but Dreamlight Valley has done a fantastic job expanding characters beyond their movies. They could easily develop his personality through new quests, royal events, and interactions with Snow White. Sometimes, these supporting characters become fan favourites because the game gives them far more time to shine than they originally had on screen.
How much do you know about Davy Jones?
Davy Jones is one of Disney's greatest villains, and honestly, I'm surprised we haven't seen more people asking for him. His design alone would make him one of the most visually impressive villagers in Dreamlight Valley. Imagine seeing him walking around with his tentacle beard, crab claw, and giant hat while the Flying Dutchman sat just off the coast of Dazzle Beach. That would be absolutely incredible. He'd also make an amazing DLC villain or even a realm antagonist. His friendship quests could revolve around lifting curses, collecting pieces of the Flying Dutchman, or helping reunite lost sailors. Plus, imagine all the pirate furniture, nautical decorations, and eerie ocean-themed items that could come with him. He'd bring a completely different atmosphere to the valley. I know Tarzan's rights are always a bit complicated, but if Disney and Gameloft could make it happen, I'd absolutely love to see Tarzan and Jane arrive. Tarzan is one of Disney's most beloved Renaissance films, and its jungle setting would make for one of the prettiest realms imaginable. Tarzan swinging between the trees while Jane studies wildlife would create such a fun daily interaction. We'd also get gorgeous jungle furniture, vine decorations, waterfalls, and treehouse inspired items. Even if they're difficult characters to secure legally, they're still near the top of my wish list because they'd fit Dreamlight Valley's exploration and nature themes perfectly.
Whoa! The sound of rolling dice to me is music in the air, 'cause I'm a gambling.
Jack and Sally are already living in the valley, but something still feels missing, and that's Oogie Boogie. He's one of Disney's most iconic villains, and would be absolutely perfect for one of Dreamlight Valley's Halloween updates. Just imagine entering his creepy casino-themed house filled with dice, bugs, and spinning wheels. His quests could involve trick-or-treat events, spooky games of chance, and causing a little harmless chaos around the Forgotten Lands. Everyone who loves October would be excited to spend time with him, and he'd finally complete the Nightmare Before Christmas trio.
I know my mom's worried, but sometimes she's just so...
Turning Red is honestly one of Pixar's most underrated films, and I'd absolutely love to see May and her mum Ming arrive together. Their relationship is one of the strongest parts of the movie, and both characters would bring something completely different to Dreamlight Valley. Of course, the biggest reason I want this, Sandra Oh. Hearing Sandra Oh voice Ming in Dreamlight Valley would be absolutely incredible. May's friendship quests could revolve around balancing school, friendships, and family, while her Red Panda transformation could become part of the gameplay or even a dream style. Between the beautiful Chinese-inspired decorations, temple furniture, and maybe even some Four Town references, this franchise has loads of potential. If we're talking about Disney television, Ida Clawthorne has to be one of the biggest names. She's witty, sarcastic, incredibly powerful, and would instantly become one of the funniest villagers in the entire game. She could introduce magical furniture inspired by the Boiling Isles, potion crafting recipes, cursed relics, and plenty of hilarious dialogue. Her interactions with Merlin alone would be worth adding her. Watching those two constantly argue over whose magic is better would never get old. The Owl House deserves representation, and Ida would be the perfect place to start.
We made it! Come on, Max, let's get you on stage.
Maybe this isn't such a good idea.
Max Goof is one of Disney's most relatable characters, and after all these years, it's about time Goofy got his son back. Dreamlight Valley has done a great job bringing families together, so Max feels like an obvious addition. His quests with Goofy could easily become some of the funniest and most emotional in the entire game. Whether they're trying to reconnect, recreating scenes from a Goofy movie, or even preparing for another road trip. There's loads Gameloft could do. Plus, Max could finally introduce more a Goofy movie furniture, outfits, and even maybe some Powerline references.
How come your clothes are so baggy?
Because Santa is watching his saturated fats.
Dreamlight Valley still feels like it's missing one huge Christmas character, and Scott Calvin would fill that role perfectly. Imagine logging into the valley during December and seeing Santa Claus himself walking around the frosted heights. He could run festive events, deliver presents, unlock Christmas furniture, and maybe even have a magical sleigh flying across the valley every evening. His house could be a miniature North Pole workshop filled with elves, toys, and festive decorations. Every Christmas update and season would instantly feel bigger just because Scott Calvin was part of the valley. The Hunchback of Notre Dame is one of Disney's greatest films, and it's criminally underrated across Disney games. Quasimodo and Esmeralda would bring a much more mature and emotional side to Dreamlight Valley, while still fitting its wholesome atmosphere. Notre Dame-inspired furniture, medieval streets, stained glass windows, and gargoyle decorations would all look incredible. Quasimodo's friendship quests could focus on confidence and belonging, while Esmeralda could bring dancing performances and festival celebrations. It's a film that deserves so much more recognition, and I'd love to finally see it represented.
I'm thirsty.
I said freeze!
I'm just getting a drink.
Honey, where's my super suit? Honestly, that's enough reason alone. Frozone is easily one of Pixar's coolest characters, and he'd bring even more superhero energy to Dreamlight Valley. His ice powers could create fun seasonal quests, frozen sculptures, and winter-themed decorations. I also think Samuel L. Jackson returning to voice him would make every interaction instantly memorable. Even though The Incredibles has loads of fantastic characters, Frozone stands out as someone who could comfortably join the Valley alongside or instead of the Parr family. I genuinely can't believe Pinocchio still isn't in Dreamlight Valley. He's one of Disney's oldest and most iconic characters, yet somehow he's still missing while so many newer characters have already joined the Valley. Whether he arrived for a realm or simply appeared in the Valley like Cinderella or Tiana, I'd be happy either way. His friendship quests could revolve around honesty, helping others, and maybe even dealing with Honest John causing trouble. Add Geppetto's workshop, Jiminy Cricket, wooden furniture, and classic storybook decorations, and you've got one of Disney's most charming additions waiting to happen. Spider-Man is my favourite Marvel hero of all time, so of course he had to make this list. I know Marvel coming to Dreamlight Valley is still a huge question mark, but if Gameloft ever decided to celebrate Disney's comic book side, Peter Parker would be the obvious place to begin. He's one of the most recognisable superheroes in the world, and would instantly attract a whole new audience to the game. His quests could involve swinging around the valley stopping mischievous night fawns, taking photos for special missions, or helping villagers with everyday problems, because that's exactly who Spider-Man is. His house could be a New York apartment, or even a small Daily Bugle-inspired building. Plus, imagine all the Spider-Man themed clothing, web decorations, and New York furniture would get alongside him.
Edna mode. And get.
No capes. Edna Mode would be one of the funniest villagers Dreamlight Valley could ever introduce. She's absolutely iconic, and I honestly think she deserves more than just being another character. I'd love to see her arrive with an entirely new clothing boutique focused on fashion instead of Scrooge's general store or Daisy's touch of magic. Imagine being able to recolour existing outfits, unlock new clothing variations, or even customising clothes further outside of Touch of Magic, which you can actually use in Dream Snaps. Edna's quests practically write themselves, as she constantly criticises everyone's outfits while secretly helping improve them. She'd become one of those villagers everyone visits daily, not just because she's useful, but because every conversation would be hilarious.
Very small. But sometimes the smallest thing can make the biggest changes of all.
Dinosaur is one of Disney's forgotten classics, and I'd absolutely love to see it receive some representation beside the dinosaur egg. Aladar would immediately stand out because we'd finally have a dinosaur walking around the valley, something we've never seen before. He could bring prehistoric furniture, fossil decorations, giant fern plants, and volcanic scenery inspired by the film. His quests could revolve around protecting wildlife, exploring ancient areas, and discovering lost relics. Dinosaur deserves far more appreciation than it gets, and Dreamlight Valley would be the perfect place to remind people just how beautiful that movie really is.
Alright now kid, loosen up. Get real loose and then start to weave. Weave a little, now move. That's it.
Seriously, how is The Jungle Book still not in Dreamlight Valley? It's one of Disney's defining animated classics, and Baloo and Mowgli would fit the cozy atmosphere perfectly. Baloo would immediately become one of the most laid-back villagers in the game, while Mowgli would bring curiosity and adventure to every quest. The Jungle Book has so many memorable locations that a realm based around the jungle would almost create itself. Their friendship quests could involve gathering fruit, helping animals, or learning how to survive in nature. We'd also finally get Jungle Book furniture, tropical plants, vine decorations, and maybe even some appearances from King Louie or Car during quests. It honestly feels like one of those franchises that's inevitable.
Mahalo, Ruben.
Hey, no problem, Lilo.
Ruben is actually my favourite character from the entire Lilo and Stitch franchise, so there was no way I was leaving him off this list. He's Experiment 625, basically Stitch's brother, except instead of causing chaos, he just wants to make sandwiches. His personality would be perfect for Dreamlight Valley. Imagine daily cooking quests where he invents ridiculous sandwiches or asks you to collect ingredients from around the valley. His house could be another Jumbo experiment pod, and his friendship rewards could include loads of Hawaiian-themed kitchen furniture and food recipes. He's adorable, hilarious, and deserves so much more love. I mean, I can't find any merch for him anywhere, but there's always Angel and Leroy.
Tell me, are you folks from the area? Or just visiting? Oh, how I love a good chase.
If you've watched Amphibia, you'll know exactly why Mr. X is such a brilliant character. If you haven't, just know that he's voiced by RuPaul. And honestly, that's reason enough for me to want him in Dreamlight Valley. Mr. X would bring loads of comedy while also acting as someone constantly investigating strange magical happenings throughout the valley. His over-the-top personality would make every quest entertaining, especially if he kept suspecting villagers of being aliens or interdimensional beings. Amphibia deserves far more love than it currently gets, and Mr. X would certainly make an unforgettable addition.
Bambi, quick, the thicket!
Where is Bambi? Seriously, how has one of Disney's most iconic characters still not made its way into Dreamlight Valley? Bambi is practically synonymous with Disney animation, and he'd fit the peaceful atmosphere of the valley perfectly. His friendship quest could revolve around caring for nature, protecting forests, and helping wildlife throughout the biomes. We'd also get beautiful woodland furniture, flower fields, forest decorations, and seasonal wildlife items. Whether he arrived alone, or eventually alongside Thumper and Flower, I really think Bambi is long overdue.
Woman looking the way you do.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
How amazing would it be to see Roger Rabbit bouncing around the valley while Jessica Rabbit calmly follows behind, apologising for whatever chaos he's just caused. These two would instantly become some of the funniest villagers in the entire game. Roger's slapstick humour could create brilliant quests, while Jessica's glamorous personality would contrast him perfectly. We'd also finally get classic Hollywood furniture, more Toontown decorations, vintage cinema items, and loads of references to one of Disney's most unique films. They're definitely a long shot, but what an incredible addition that'd be.
Don't you dare! If you put one fin on that boat, are you listening to me? Don't touch the boat. Nemo!
Nemo is honestly just a character that needs to happen eventually. Finding Nemo remains one of Pixar's biggest films, and it's surprising that we still don't have any representation despite its popularity, outside of furniture and some clothing. Now, obviously, Nemo can't exactly walk around the valley, but neither could Ariel before she got her legs. Gameloft has already shown they're willing to adapt characters to fit gameplay, so I don't think it's impossible. Whether they use magical bubbles, tiny pools, or another creative solution, I'd love to see Nemo finally join alongside all the colourful ocean furniture and underwater decorations his franchise could bring. And if they wanted a dream style where he could walk on land, just put him in a plastic bag.
You're foldable. You're gullible.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, it's Flubber. This little green blob would honestly make one of the greatest companions Dreamlight Valley could ever introduce. Imagine him constantly bouncing behind you, making funny noises, jumping onto furniture, and reacting to everything happening around the valley. He could also have special idle animations where he stretches, splits into smaller blobs, or bounces incredibly high into the air before landing beside you again. Flubber is such a classic Disney character that new audiences might not know as well anymore, but for those who grew up with the film, seeing him return would be an amazing nostalgic moment. I honestly think he'd become one of the most popular companions in the entire game.
Amity, it's okay. What if I went to Grom with you instead?
The Owl House is one of Disney television animation's greatest modern successes, and if it ever got representation in Dreamlight Valley, Luz and Amity would absolutely be my first picks. They're not only fantastic characters individually, but together, they're one of Disney's most beloved couples. Their friendship quest could focus on learning magic, discovering ancient ruins, and helping Merlin understand a completely different style of spell casting. The furniture possibilities would be incredible too. We'd get Hexside-inspired decorations, magical bookshelves, glowing glyph symbols, talisman decorations, and loads of fantasy-themed items that would fit perfectly into the Forgotten Lands or Ever After. If Ida ever joined later on, the dynamic between all three characters would be amazing, but Luz and Amity are definitely where I'd start.
And the treasure is buried in the center of this planet.
Treasure Planet remains one of Disney's biggest cult classics, and despite not being a box office success, it's become one of Disney's most requested franchises among Disney fans. Jim Hawkins would fit Dreamlight Valley surprisingly well, especially if Gameloft leaned into the adventurous side of his character. A Treasure Planet realm would be visually stunning, with floating ships, glowing galaxies, and solar sails stretching across the sky. Jim's quest could involve treasure hunts, repairing ancient technology, and exploring forgotten corners of the valley. I'd also love to see Ben and Long John Silver eventually join him, because the entire cast deserves far more recognition than they've received over the years.
A platypus? Perry the platypus?
I don't even want Perry as a villager. I want Perry as a companion. Right now. Imagine walking around the valley with Perry waddling behind you before suddenly putting on his fedora whenever danger appears. It would honestly be one of the funniest companions in the entire game. His animations alone would be worth it, and you just know Doofenshmirtz would constantly mistake your valley for somewhere he can test his latest innator. Perry is easily one of Disney's most iconic animal characters, and I'd probably never swap companions again if he was added. A platypus? Perry the platypus!
I am Naveen, Prince of Maldonia, and she is Tiana, the waitress.
Do not kiss her.
Tiana is finally in Dreamlight Valley, but something still feels missing, and that's Prince Naveen. He's such an important part of Tiana's story that it feels almost strange seeing her running her restaurant without him. Naveen would bring a completely different personality to the valley compared to Tiana. While she's hard-working and always focused, Naveen is charming, playful, and always looking to enjoy life. Their friendship quests together could be fantastic, showing how well they balance each other. Plus, we'd finally get more New Orleans-inspired decorations, music, and maybe even some royal-themed furniture from Maldonia.
Anita, darling! How are you? Miserable, darling, as usual, perfectly wretched.
Now that Lady and the Tramp have officially joined Dreamlight Valley, I honestly think Pongo and Perdita are only a matter of time. They're arguably Disney's most famous dog couple, and they'd fit the Valley's growing collection of animal villagers perfectly. I'd love to see them arrive with a London-inspired realm or update featuring parks, townhouses, and classic British decorations. Their quests can involve looking after puppies, helping other villagers, and even introducing Patch later on. Since Lucky is already a companion, it would also be nice to see more of the Dalmatian family represented, giving Cruella even more characters to interact with.
No, Buzz. I am your father.
Every hero needs a villain, and Buzz Lightyear desperately needs Emperor Zurg. Toy Story has plenty of missing characters, but Zurg stands out because he'd immediately create new storyline opportunities. His over-the-top evil personality would make for hilarious dialogue, especially when Buzz takes every single thing he says far too seriously. His house could resemble his giant spaceship, and his friendship quests could revolve around pretending to conquer the valley while secretly helping everyone anyway. We'd also get loads of futuristic furniture, space decorations, and sci-fi themed rewards. Plus, let's be honest, hearing Zurg dramatically announce his latest evil plan every day would never get old.
Oh, it is good to be back!
If Dreamlight Valley ever wanted Disney's most powerful villain, Bill Cipher would probably be the one to choose. Gravity Falls fans already know just how chaotic Bill can be, and his fourth wall breaking humour would fit surprisingly well in the Valley. He could constantly appear when you least expect him, make bizarre comments directly to the player, and completely ignore the normal rules of the game's universe. His friendship, or perhaps rivalry, quests could involve strange dimensions, reality-bending puzzles, and mysterious artifacts scattered throughout the Valley. Gravity Falls already feels like a natural fit for Dreamlight Valley, and Bill Cipher would easily become one of the most memorable villains in the game's history.
I'm not ready! You'll never be ready!
Onward is one of Pixar's most underrated films, and I genuinely think it deserves far more love than it gets. The relationship between Ian and Barley is one of the strongest sibling stories Disney and Pixar has ever told, and their friendship quests could focus heavily on family, adventure, and believing in yourself. I'll also admit, I'd absolutely love hearing Tom Holland's voice in Dreamlight Valley if Ian kept his original voice actor. Barley's enthusiasm would balance Ian's nervous personality perfectly, and together they'd introduce fantasy furniture, magical road trip items, tabletop gaming decorations, and loads of references to one of Pixar's most emotional stories.
Animal shopping, alright? And this is what humans do. They always pick the cute ones, the ones that look like you, Bolt. But the rest of us?
Bolt is another Disney character who feels strangely forgotten despite starring in such a fun film. His personality would fit Dreamlight Valley perfectly because he genuinely believed in every tiny problem in the valley was part of some superhero mission. Imagine Bolt dramatically charging into battle against Night Fawns while everyone else is just gardening. His quests can involve helping Penny, learning what being a real hero means, and slowly realising he doesn't actually have laser vision anymore. Bolt would also bring loads of adorable animations, making him one of the cutest villagers in the entire game. Now, this one is definitely a long shot, but technically, Disney owns The Simpsons now. Just imagine Homer wandering into Ches Remy looking for donuts, Bart causing chaos around the plaza, Lisa discussing music with Ariel or Merlin, Marge somehow trying to keep the entire family under control, or Maggie just sitting there. It would be one of the weirdest crossovers Disney has ever done, but honestly, Dreamlight Valley is already a celebration of Disney as a whole. Would it ever happen? Probably not. Would I absolutely lose my mind if I suddenly saw Springfield represented in the valley? Absolutely. Even if they only added a small event, premium shop items, or a house skin based on the Simpsons' iconic home, I'd be incredibly happy.
Here.
Pocahontas,
John.
listen to me. My men are planning to attack your people.
Now that Pocahontas is in Dreamlight Valley, there's one character who immediately comes to mind as a future addition, and that's John Smith. Whether people love him or not, he's a major part of Pocahontas' story, and it would feel strange for her to remain the only representative from her film forever. We've seen Dreamlight Valley slowly reunite couples across updates, so it would be nice to see. John Smith could bring exploration-focused quests, perhaps involving discovering hidden areas around the valley, or helping preserve nature alongside Pocahontas. His arrival would also give Gameloft opportunities for new colonial-era inspired furniture, camp equipment, and adventure-themed rewards. He's probably not a priority character, but I do think he's one of the most likely future additions from Pocahontas if the franchise expands beyond a single villager. And he is one of the official Disney princes.
Pull the lever, Kronk. Wrong lever!
Huh?
Why do we even have that lever?
Pull the lever, Kronk! The Emperor's New Groove remains one of Disney's funniest films, and honestly, I think Yzma and Kronk would instantly become fan favourite villagers. Yzma's dramatic personality, constant schemes, and over-the-top reactions would make her one of the funniest characters in the entire game. Meanwhile, Kronk would be the lovable himbo who somehow gets distracted halfway through every quest. Their friendship dynamic alone could carry dozens of quests. Imagine helping Kronk cook while Yzma secretly tries to turn villagers into animals again. They'd also bring amazing furniture inspired by Incan architecture, Yzma's laboratory, secret lever rooms, potion shelves, and more. Out of every Disney duo still missing from the game, these two might genuinely be among the funniest and most entertaining possibilities.
Perfect disguise.
When people think Disney villains, one character started it all. The Evil Queen isn't just another villain, she's the original Disney villain. Snow White is already in Dreamlight Valley, but the fact her greatest enemy isn't there yet feels like a massive missing piece. Whether appearing in her regal form, or transforming into the old hag, should bring a darker atmosphere that many players love. Quest lines could revolve around magical apples, enchanted mirrors, mysterious forests, and brewing dangerous potions. Her house could even be split between her royal castle chamber and her hidden witch's cottage. She's one of Disney's most iconic characters ever created, and considering Dreamlight Valley's love for villains, I honestly think it's only a matter of time before she eventually joins the roster.
It's time to meet the Muppets on the Muppet Show tonight. It's time to put on.
Could you imagine walking through the plaza and suddenly hearing Miss Piggy yelling at Kermit? The Muppets would be absolutely chaotic in the best way possible. Kermit would bring his calm leadership and optimism, while Miss Piggy would bring enough drama to rival Mother Gothel. Together, they'd instantly create some of the funniest dialogue in Dreamlight Valley history. Their quest could involve putting on shows, organising performances, and rebuilding a Muppet theatre somewhere in the valley. The furniture possibilities are endless too, from theatre props and backstage equipment to Muppet-themed decorations. Disney owns the Muppets, they're beloved worldwide, and they fit Dreamlight Valley's humour perfectly. They might be a long shot, but if they ever arrive, I think the community would absolutely lose their minds.
Hello! Do you not don't understand. Do you want to be taken away? Answer me! No.
If Lilo eventually joins the game, there's another character I'd love to see shortly afterwards. Nani is one of Disney's most underrated characters. Throughout Lilo and Stitch, she sacrifices everything to care for her sister, balancing responsibility, grief, and family in a way that's surprisingly realistic for a Disney film. She deserves far more recognition than she gets. Adding Nani would also finally complete the main family dynamic from the original movie. With her, Lilo, and Stitch together, it would be adorable. She could bring Hawaiian-inspired furniture, beach decorations, surfboards, and family-focused quests. Her interactions with Stitch would also be hilarious, considering how much chaos he caused her throughout the film. If Dreamlight Valley ever expands its Lilo and Stitch roster, Nani feels like one of the most natural possible choices.
Any chance you're free tomorrow? To hang out with a water guy?
Elemental is one of Pixar's most underrated films, and I really think Ember and Wade would be fantastic additions. Their relationship is one of the sweetest Pixar has ever created, and both characters bring something visually unique that Dreamlight Valley doesn't currently have. Ember's fiery design and Wade's flowing water body would instantly stand out among existing villagers. The furniture opportunities would also be incredible. Imagine Element City inspired decor, glowing water features, elemental lighting, and colourful city architecture. Questlines could focus on balancing different elements, helping communities work together, and embracing differences. The movie may not have been Pixar's biggest hit initially, but it found a huge audience later on, and I think Dreamlight Valley could help introduce even more players to these fantastic characters.
It's a big, scary world out there for you two alone.
If Huey, Dewey, and Louie ever arrive, then their mum absolutely needs to follow. Della Duck became one of the breakout stars of the DuckTales reboot. After years of being a mystery character, she was finally given an incredible storyline involving survival, family, and reconnecting with her children. She's adventurous, funny, and completely different from Donald, despite being his sister. Her addition would massively expand the DuckTales side of Dreamlight Valley and create so many fun family dynamics. Imagine seeing Donald arguing with his sister, while Scrooge desperately tries to keep everyone under control. She'd also bring aviation-themed furniture, moon exploration references, and some fantastic quests. For DuckTales fans, Della is easily one of the most requested characters still missing.
My brother Kenai went on to live with Coda and the other bears.
Brother Bear deserves so much more love from Disney. The film has one of Disney's most emotional stories, focusing on family, loss, forgiveness, and understanding others. Kenai and Coda would bring a completely different energy to Dreamlight Valley, especially if Kenai could switch between human and bear forms as part of quests. Their addition would also allow for beautiful wilderness-inspired furniture, forest decorations, spirit animal motifs, and northern landscapes. The emotional storytelling potential here is enormous too. Brother Bear remains one of Disney's most overlooked films, and Dreamlight Valley could finally give it the recognition many fans feel it deserves.
I love you, Zed.
I love you too. To the end of the universe.
Disney Channel deserves representation too, and if any Disney Channel franchise has a chance, it's probably zombies. Zed and Addison have become incredibly popular with younger Disney fans, thanks to multiple films, catchy songs, and a surprisingly large fan base. Their arrival would introduce an entirely different side of Disney that Dreamlight Valley hasn't really explored yet. They could bring school-themed furniture, cheerleading items, zombie-inspired decorations, and music-focused quests. Plus, their positive messages about acceptance and bringing different groups together fit Dreamlight Valley's overall themes perfectly. They're definitely unconventional picks, but so were characters like Oswald once upon a time.
Yep, this cricket's a lucky one!
And finally, the number one character I want added to Disney Dreamlight Valley. Not a princess, not a villain, not a hero. Cricky. I have wanted Cricky as a companion for absolutely ages. Ever since Mulan arrived, I've been hoping we'd eventually get her lucky cricket as a companion reward, premium shop item, event reward, literally anything. He may not be the biggest Disney character ever, but he's one of the most memorable side characters Disney has ever created, and I even have a tattoo of him. Imagine him following you around the valley, chirping happily as you fish, decorate, or complete quests. He'd fit perfectly alongside companions like Pua, Hey Hey, and Figaro. Out of every character on this list, some are realistic, some are unlikely, and some are pure wishful thinking. But if I could choose just one thing to add to Disney Dreamlight Valley tomorrow, it would genuinely be Cricky. Give me my lucky cricket. And there we have it. 100 characters I'd love to see come to Disney Dreamlight Valley. Whether they're villagers, companions, DLC characters, or premium shop editions, every single one of them would bring something unique to the valley. With so many Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Disney Channel, Disney Parks, and even Disney game characters still waiting in the wings, the future of Dreamlight Valley feels bigger than ever. And again, I wanted to give a big thank you to everyone that has subscribed. I still can't personally believe we have hit 1k, and I feel very ecstatic. It's hard to describe. Thank you. I hope we can hit 2k maybe by this time next year. Who knows? I'm hoping to continue to put out as much Dreamlight Valley content as I can that you can enjoy. That doesn't seem terrible. I hope my stuff isn't. Ignore me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more Dreamlight Valley content. And until the next time, dreamers, I'll see you in the valley. Bye.